past 5 years, if one looks at most organizations, a lot of projects were in serious trouble. And they'd be like over budget and overtime and everything else. The organizations would say, oh, that's too bad. And maybe we should do something about it, but they never really did. And so in the end, the project would end miserably, and they'd say, let's park that and we'll move into the next. And of course, the next project would be repeated the same. After all, money was flush. In the past 6 months, all of a sudden, we have had more requests, and I'm certain that you've seen it as well, for project audits and health checks than ever before. Because organizations are saying, we can't do that anymore. We have fewer resources, we have far less money, and we're concerned about our survival. So if we don't get a health check and an audit done now, actually, the dire results are certainly going to be there for us. We've got to get it done to save money, save time, better utilize our resources, and so on. What happens when I say to you, I am going to audit your project? This. It strikes fear in the heart of the project manager. You got to be kidding. They're going to come in and do an audit? Why? I think that I'm doing okay. After all, if I would have had more resources or time or everything else, then it would have been okay. But usually, it strikes a chord, fear. An audit and a health check is not meant to be looking for blame, excuses. It shouldn't be threats, punitive, or anything else that's going to cause some suffering. It's quite the reverse. It's an opportunity to find out what isn't going well. We can usually make assumptions about what we believe that those things are. But what can we do to turn those things around quickly so the project can suddenly see some of the opportunities that could be realized if they would put in our recommendations? There are so many reasons why we would want to consider a project audit. Among them, the projects that we're undergoing right now are in crisis. There's a lot of firefighting going on, and as soon as that happens, you've got to stop because it's wasteful. It's wasteful in resource time, it's wasteful in terms of the cost of dollars and everything else. You may find that you're not seeing a positive impact on the bottom line. It's interesting, it wasn't as important over the past 5 years, but in the last 6 months, all of a sudden organizations are saying, you know, if it doesn't have a positive impact on the bottom line, then maybe we shouldn't even be working on that project anyways, or we need to do something to turn that thing around quickly. We're finding they're over time, they're over schedule, they're, of course, under-resourced, and with all of the layoffs that have been occurring, we still have these key projects to manage, but we have fewer resources to work with, and nor do we have the budget to start to bring in all sorts of external people at the same time. Our innovations are failing. One organization that came to us only a week ago said, our main thrust of our global manufacturer is to create new innovations. And it takes us about 5 years from design, research, to actual launch. So we've got to look 5 years down the road. We can't be so concerned about the economy right now, but realistically, we have also laid off people. And we have downsized, and yet our innovations have got to, be put forward. So how do we get these things done with less resources? We know we're going to have less budget, and still get them completed within time. So all of a sudden, the concept of innovation comes into play more importantly in how projects are managed than ever before. Those of you who are highly analytical and detail-oriented, this is perfect. In-depth interviews. Yes, you go back to the sponsor, go back to the program manager, project manager. You will interview all of the core team members. You will interview customers, vendors, suppliers, consultants, anyone who's directly affected or impacted somehow by the project. When it comes to the team, so as an example, they have 300 people on this project. You cannot interview them all one-on-one. It would take too much time, so you put them into focus groups. So, this team of individuals have relatively similar roles and responsibilities, and you do focus groups. Focus groups are fascinating because many times they will say it's the first opportunity to tell you what we think about what's going on in this project. Nobody really asks them before because, after all, they're probably the lowest level in the whole hierarchy of the project itself. They know. They have so much interesting information that they would like to share and invaluable. The project plan itself has got to show the integration of the project plan to the vendor, suppliers, and consultants, so that you can start to identify the critical interdependencies, the milestones, and so on. And if the vendors say, don't worry about it, we know what we're doing, raise all your red flags. Because if they know what they're doing, then giving you a project plan to link with yours shouldn't be a problem. But if they say we know what we're doing, but we can't give you a plan, that's why you raise your red flags. In almost all cases of project audits, project health checks, our #1 recommendation was never to fire the project manager because the amount of money spent on them to learn from these mistakes was enormous.
as long as they would continue to implement then the recommendations, they would be very successful. Project audits and health checks for you present an enormous and wonderful opportunity to really turn things around, especially in this economy, for you, for your organizations, anyone it is that you're working with. My name is Michael Stanleigh, and thank you so much for being here with me this morning.